welcome back to The Good Life by Design. Weekly, daily, we're not quite sure yet how frequently we will drop this podcast, but as long as you keep listening, we will continue to be here. I'm Carly Flynn. I have with me designer extraordinaire Hamish Dodd, who's trying to look like he's something out of, I don't know, NYC or something.
Covers up a lot of the grey.
I'm going to get you to put your glasses on in a minute for those that are watching us. That is quite funny. And our wonderful friend who's an expert in universal design, Henry McTavish. G'day, Henry.
Hello.
Beautiful place today. You've got beautiful sunset or sunrise.
A bit of the Westport, so.
We are going to talk about where to spend your money on a kitchen and how to avoid, or what are the most common, because it's pretty hard to avoid, budget blowouts in your kitchen. Hamish, what would you say would be a good place to spend money on?
Bench tops, hardware, your tapware, stuff like that. Yeah, look, basically everything. The funny thing about it for me is the kitchen takes the most punishment sort of after the bathroom. The bathroom's got lots of water splashing around, and well, the kitchen does too. It's become the hub of the home. Kitchen, once upon a time, of course, it had whoever was doing the cooking, and let's face it, that was mum, and she worked in there, and then the dinner came out to the dining table to eat. Not anymore. We're all interacting in it. We're all having a go. Morning times for me, there's 4 of us all kerfuffling around in it, banging and crashing, and I've noticed that having quality tapware is a real key, because I think we've replaced 4, which is crazy. If we had perhaps started off with a far superior quality tap, we might have done better. But things that I am noticing is durability due to the incredible Blum running gears and bits and pieces that are in the kitchen. Soft close. No longer do drawer fronts go crooked. We've all been into an old house, that had a kitchen from the 90s. And all the drawer fronts are all slightly crooked, doors, out of alignment. Well, they're now actually relatively easy to realign, and that's another whole thing, doing a bit of maintenance on your kitchen. But I think you should buy the best you can afford when it comes to it.
Follow-up kitchen, because for me, without using or talking to you two wonderful gents, I don't know. I'm buying it on price. I go for the middle of the road because I know that the $200 tap versus the $1,000 tap, I go for the $600 tap and just hope. How do you know what's quality?
Well, I'll be honest with you. There's an element of price when it comes to tapware. Middle of the road tapware is absolutely fine. There's no real problem with it. You're going to get a fair few years out of it before it starts to disintegrate. Cheap stuff, no good whatsoever. You're not going to get longevity out of it before a washer starts to leak, or it doesn't operate as it should. High-end tapware, a lot of the time you're not really actually paying for design. You're paying for mechanism and structure. It's a high quality. It's the internals of the tap. All tapware is brass now that's coated with plating, so they're all metal. But it's whether or not it's got ceramic washers inside it and things like that. That's where things start to make the difference, and you pay for that. You really do. Particularly, I notice it with things like pull-out, washer spout things. I used to hate them because they all leaked eventually into the underneath of the sink and into the carcass. If you buy a good quality one now, they don't, so there are differences along that sort of front that you can look for. But yeah, sadly, you are paying for quality. So, you could spend up to $2,000 on a sink mixer quite easily. Now, you remember that's getting turned on and off continually, hammered by the family, hammered by the children. It's used for washing up. It's for getting water for drinks. It's the hub of the water for the home. It's the new version of the old pump spout they used to have at the well. So yeah, spend money on it. So I would save money on my bench top, because even all the composite stone bench tops aren't, they're not created equal. You can get some more cost-effective ones, and inside each range, you can get a more cost-effective color range inside that range. So yeah, I'd happily spend $1,500 on a kitchen sink mixer and sort of downgrade my bench fractionally. What do you think, Henry? What are your thoughts? Am I just frivolous?
No, it's quite right. Kind of there's been trends with color taps. Just make sure you check how they're actually colored, because often they can chip and
Yeah.
maintenance and things like that. So, something that's got a beautiful color to it, 6 months later after it's been dinged by pots on a regular basis, you're just going to want to get rid of it. Have a look at the mechanisms. I mean, I think pullouts are absolutely amazing, but understand that each time you pull it out, it's going to be grating. So you just want to make sure that the hose that's attached to it, that it's going to be durable. Yeah, your kitchen tap's probably the hardest working thing. I think too, and it's something that will go into bench tops. That's where aesthetics can get really interesting. Try not to get too stuck on trends. Worked with clients before where they've gone for the most beautiful marble. It's so delicate and it's so expensive. And the problem with that, you've ended up with something really beautiful, but they haven't been able to afford anything else to make their life better, and it doesn't add purpose. I mean, you don't want a utilitarian kind of space. It's got to be beautiful, but the form and function just balance that together.
Yes, that choosing bench top really stumped me, Henry, because we were choosing between two engineered stones, and typically I was initially we went out to the showroom and I looked at the colour and the feel and that I liked, and then we had to compare the two of them. They were pretty much a very similar price, but one could withstand heat over 100 degrees forever, and the other one couldn't, and it was just a really hard decision to make. And I thought, do you know what? The last thing I want is if somebody comes in, puts a pot on the bench, and then it's marked it. So I'm going to go with the one that can withstand the heat for the extra time. But neither of them are chip resistant.
Yeah.
There's so many things that can go wrong with that multi-$1,000 piece of stone or engineered stone.
No, definitely. And I think kind of to understand that technology is kind of moving along quite quickly. There's the evil word of laminates, kind of the horrors of the 70s. The technology's actually moved along. And, when it kind of comes to costing, it might, personally, I don't like anything that looks too fake, so I probably wouldn't go there. But, kind of if you go for a really matte surface and a really flat color, it can look absolutely spectacular.
I met someone yesterday that's gone for a yellow Formica bench top, and they
Fab.
love it.
Yeah.
Sensational.
So, have fun and don't go and, kind of with too many preconceptions of what you want, kind of be a bit more open-minded, because it's the whole picture, putting it together, and then suddenly when you get that figure at the end and kind of you're freaking out, that work with a kitchen designer the whole way through and just kind of think about what's really important, kind of the function of it, and you'll create a picture, and then things will start to balance a bit more.
We're bringing a lot of colour back into kitchens at the moment. And on this note, Carly, what's the colour of your kitchen?
Well, my colour is Resine Thor. I don't know if it's colour Resine Thor. For those people that are checking it out on, do you know what? You can just go and have a look on my Instagram page at Carly Flynn, or I'll send it to Henry and we can pop it up on the Good Life by Design. But I was going for sort of a Spinifex blue for the whole 6 months of planning our kitchen. And, the more people I asked, the more people would challenge me and say, are you going to love it in 10 years? Oh, I think it's a bit risky. What about resale? Well, one, I don't know where I'm going to be in 10 years. Two, I don't plan on selling. And three, if we need to repaint the cupboards for resale, well, I'm sure we'll get to that bridge when we cross it. But then I didn't like the panels that I saw of the Spinifex blue colour. It was too muted. It was too baby blue. So I went to Resine, got myself some A4s of all the teal blues that I could find. I chose my kitchen colour off one A4. And yesterday I went out to see it and I was so scared. I was as scared as I can to go to live television. And I thought, I'm not going to be able to fake it. If I do not like this green kitchen when I walk into this warehouse before they install it in my house, it's going to be quite obvious. And I loved it.
Yeah,
I've sent it out to a few friends and nobody's replied.
Well, I told you I
Your
love
new
that.
friends.
Sorry. Oh, yes. My friend Hamish has replied straight away.
Yeah. I love the boldness of it, and I think Carly hit the nail on the head. Not all the kitchen's blue, right?
No,
So
no.
it's not like the '90s where everything was painted a lovely salmon, and you had to literally repaint the entire kitchen. You could quite easily swap that color out in 10 years if you want. See, my whole argument with people who go, "Oh, will it date?" Who cares?
Everything.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I love my kitchen.
you didn't do the house as a development. You've done the house as a home that you may sell or may not, but it's your home. So please have what you want. Come on. If you were doing it purely to sell, then totally get it. You wouldn't. I'm very emotional now.
Where am I saving in my kitchen? Because I certainly haven't found those little traps yet.
Hey, actually, kind of for you two, one point. I think when you're talking about cost savings and, going neutral, I think one fantastic area to really add personality, and it's so easy to change, is the splashback.
Wallpaper.
Kind of go really bold there, do something really experimental. If you are worried about resale, when it comes time for that, kind of replace it with a very classic tile, but it's a small space, but often it's quite centered and everything else frames it. So, go hardcore, I'd say.
My best,
I just say buy colourful oven mitts and hang them over them.
my best friend has a crimson pink splashback. And
Fantastic.
when she did it about 7 or 8 years ago, the kitchen people rang her 3 times just to triple check that she actually really wanted a hot pink splashback. She did. She loves it.
But it looked fantastic. But I think, another thing that you can do is, with a glass splashback, why not get your favorite photo? Put that behind, then you've got something incredibly unique. It's going to be quite a strong look, so you don't want anything surrounding it competing, but personalize it, go crazy.
Is that cheaper than a tile or a bench top splashback, do you think?
Depends on the tile, depends on the bench top. So if you've gone for a very expensive choice in bench top and you've got a lot of bench top, right, then your bench top ratio cost across the kitchen is high. To put 2 more sheets up on the wall is going to be relatively expensive. If you've gone for an expensive top and you've only got it on an island and another small part of the kitchen, then the cost is not so great in the grand scheme of things to have 1 more panel. If you want something cost effective, I would never do, say, a marble top and then try and find a marble tile that kind of matches to tile I've done it with Carrara marble before, but I also used real Carrara marble small blocks, like in a mosaic sheet. So even though they didn't match perfectly, they were quite different mediums and forms in the space, and that worked particularly well. I think one of the worst things I've ever seen was someone do a plain white Corian bench top and then use the plain white Corian for the splashback. It looked like a tub shower from 1984. I made them rip the Corian off the back wall after having a fit because they didn't read the instructions I'd sent, and I changed it out to a tile. And even the developer walked in who was doing the house and went, "Oh, thank goodness that's gone." He could see it and just knew instantly. It doesn't work. So you need to think about that sort of thing before you kick off.
Actually, I think there's, kind of one other thing. It's really popular to go safe and go white. White bench tops, not necessarily the cheapest if you want something really plain, and you've really got to look hard at the hue, probably under natural light. A lot of the engineered stone can kind of go green, it can go blue, it can go yellow. So even though you've got this idea of white on white on white, you can end up with a bit of a clash. It's a really tricky one, and it's not cheap. It's
100%, Henry. You are so right. I saw it the other day. I was trying to explain it to someone. They wanted a white Corian bench top, and then they were looking at white tiled splashback, and they wanted to paint the walls white. And I went, wow, we've got 3 whites sitting here, and they have to work. Otherwise, it's going to look terrible.
Yeah.
And as we started to compile things, they realized that the white Corian is not a pure white. Even it's got a little bit of an edge to it, which is, thank goodness, which is lovely about it. But yeah, you do have to think about that whole white on white. I've seen it with people purchasing things that think they've got a white kitchen. They go and buy a white toaster, and there's suddenly a cream toaster sitting on the counter, and they're like, that doesn't match. I'm like, no, because it's different whites. So true. Well said about the hues. You've really got to get it right, or it looks terrible.
Well, I hope that when you were with that client that had white on white on white, my green kitchen text came through, and you could say, see, sometimes you can go bold.
Sometimes you can go bold.
I think, kind of one thing that looked at, been working with a ceramics company, Imola, that are Italian, but they do fantastic tiles that are 240 high. They're absolutely massive. What you can do is use them as a bench top. With tiles in that sort of respect, they've got incredible detail to them. They're very specific. It's not a natural stone, so it's going to be printed. So you've got a definite color and you can see it. And because of the size, you can get that cut out to whichever shapes, and they're going to be wide enough for kitchen islands and things like that. So, you've kind of got that alternative. That's a great one if you wanted to go for something flamboyant and you really couldn't afford, the marble slab from Italy. Give a tile a try, then you'll get this bold pattern, but the color's secure and it's reprinted, and, often you'll get quite a good run of that. And that can be a cost-effective way instead of getting the natural thing. So, have a look at it.
Great tips, Henry. I reckon it's coffee time. Do you reckon it's time for a cup of joe?
It's time for coffee.
Time for coffee.
Next time on Good Life by Design, we're going to be talking about choosing appliances, because it's not a matter of what you want at the moment, it's what you can get. This has been the Good Life by Design podcast. If you like us, Hamish, tell people what to do.
Well, like, subscribe. I don't know. I'm not very good with tech. And yeah, look, check us out. The Good Life by Design. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and of course, YouTube.
Fantastic.
He did it. He wrapped it.
See you later. Bye.